Up next, we have Dave Harris. He is the Sales and Marketing Director of Sunbelt Rentals. He's passionate about delivering world-class solutions with innovative technologies and sustainable ways of working. Very much of a visionary when it comes to dragging organisations into the future, and he's currently revolutionising the way temporary works are delivered into construction.
Good afternoon, everybody. Okay, the video is going to play in a moment or two, Glenn, I think. Is that right?
It's next.
Yeah, okay. So, first of all, thank you for inviting me today, and I'm obviously going to try and tell you a story. The story's really got two parts to it. The first part, I'm going to be looking backwards. Okay, I'll move across, thank you. First part, I'm going to be looking backwards, and I'm going to start with a dog walk leading into test and trace, and then I'm going to give you an insight as to where we are in this story at Sunbelt Rentals today. And then I'm going to look forward to how Sunbelt Rentals believes it can contribute and help develop the National Digital Twin. I'm actually going to start with a dog walk first. So back in 2020, we were all in lockdown, and one evening I was walking my dog when my mobile phone went off. And there was a chap from the Department of Health. And he said to me, are you Dave Harris? I said, yeah, I'm Dave Harris. He said, I need your help. He said, I need you to help us build some test and trace locations in London. And I said, well, what the hell's a test and trace location? I've no idea. The chap explained to me, look, we've got a car park at Wembley and we've got a car park at the O2. And the government had decided they want to open a COVID test and trace program across the UK. And we need marquees, we need lights, we need generators, we need traffic control, we need waste disposal. And we're looking for a company that can help us pull all this together. Can you do it? And I just basically said, yeah, we'll do it. When do you need this? He said, well, we need you on site tomorrow. We need it open by within 48 hours. So I said, okay, we'll do it. So I put the phone down and I immediately phoned a colleague of mine, Christian Alderoyd, and I said, look, Christian, whatever you're doing, I need you to really help Britain. You need to get yourself down to London with some of your colleagues, listen to the Department of Health and pull together this program. So Christian said, oh, wow, okay, I'm off. 48 hours later, we'd opened the first two test and trace sites, one at the IKEA car park at Wembley and the other one at the O2 Arena. And it was a great, wow, we've made it magic happen. And from that attitude and that ability to make magic happen, we then won a contract and we built out over 600 test and trace sites across the UK for the Department of Health. We invested probably over 100 million of capital in buying equipment and contracted with other partners to allow that COVID program to work. It was from that COVID program that we developed a central team within our business, which we call 360 Solutions. And 360 Solutions are a team that manage emergency and unexpected situations for central government, local authorities, big contractors. And 360 Solutions have done an amazing job just in 3 years. So 3 years of this story, 360 Solutions. And the video that I'm going to show you next just gives you an insight into the sort of work that that team are doing.
In a fast-changing world, the best laid plans can be quickly overtaken by events.
Instruction. You must stay at home.
The current avian flu outbreak is the largest in UK history. 3.1 million birds have been culled so far.
Battered by the sea, huge tides whip homes and businesses.
Members of the royal family have joined.
Central, national, and local government need to expect the unexpected. Plan for the unthinkable. Be prepared for the unpredictable. Respond immediately when what if turns into what is. To do that, you need a partner you can rely on, expertise you can trust. Sunbelt Rentals has decades of experience providing rapid response support for any and every situation, from extreme weather events to public health incidents. When the dam at Toddbrook Reservoir began to fail following torrential rain, our team was on site within 4 hours. and worked around the clock to help drain away over 1.5 million tonnes of water. We designed and delivered the first 2 COVID-19 testing sites 2 days after the UK went into lockdown. And over the next 12 months, we set up over 600 more with an average delivery time of just 12 hours. Supplying everything from fencing, accommodation and temporary power, to cold storage units and clinical waste disposal facilities. We also played a central role in bringing the lockdown to a close, providing a full 360 solution for the first event since restrictions began. A pilot music festival at Sefton Park in Liverpool, part of the government's events research programme on how to get crowds back to mass events. This included all the conventional assets needed to stage a major outdoor event, plus hand sanitation stations and specialist air disinfection technology. We played an equally crucial role in the UK's response to the largest ever outbreak of avian flu, providing the Animal and Plant Health Agency with round-the-clock support from our nationwide network of depots, with equipment retained solely for their use, available whenever and wherever they needed, day or night. We don't just have the ability to respond quickly to events, we can also help shape them. In 2021, we delivered bespoke, carbon-neutral infrastructure and diesel-free transport solutions for 2 of the biggest international events ever held in the UK. The G7 Summit in St Ives and COP26 in Glasgow. We were part of the team that designed and delivered the Queen's Platinum Jubilee concert in 2022, providing everything from crowd control barriers to powered access equipment. With deliveries scheduled around rehearsals, the changing of the guard and the trooping of the colour. We also played an integral role in Operation London Bridge, helping to coordinate events after the Queen's death and the state funeral. And our expertise was called upon again for the coronation of King Charles. Whatever the event, planned or unplanned, no matter how complex or challenging the requirements may be, our team will work with your team to create a bespoke solution tailored to your needs and budget. Just tell us what, where, and when. Leave the how to us.
I think it's important to actually reflect on that video, because I think when I was listening to this morning's talks about data and about the National Digital Twin, I think for me as a non-data, non-digital guru, I keep thinking about the use cases. What scenarios are we actually going to pull all this together? How are we going to work together? And these examples, whether it was the bird flu with the DEFRA and the EA, whether it was COVID or some of the G7 with the Department of Media, Culture and Sport, these are the sort of scenarios where I think the digital twin and the digital twin's functionality, use and benefits will really come into their own. And I think it's useful to keep that in mind as we go on the journey together to developing out the digital twin and sucking in the data and the applications that will allow those benefits to be realized. This is really just an overview of the 360 team. And again, I think they do have a part to play in how they can help realize some of the benefits. We put together a dedicated team. We've had to invest in a team of project managers that specialize in different areas. So we have some project managers, for example, that will specialize in transmission scenarios or event scenarios or flood scenarios. And they've built up skills by handling activities in those particular areas. We've invested in a central design team using AutoCAD Revit. Glyn Matthews, one of my colleagues, has built a library of over 400 of our rental products as BIM objects. And those BIM objects are used when we're actually designing solutions for the customers today. We can source, so again, we do most things, but we don't do everything. So if there are some niche, either labor or waste or security requirements, our sourcing team can bring those into the solution that's needed to create that temporary works package. And then obviously there's just an impressive list here. many more examples that are perhaps related to the private sector and not just government and public sector. The process that we've evolved over the last 3 years is pretty straightforward. Project managers meet the client or discuss the person in charge of the crisis or the emergency. What is it you're looking to do? What will success look like? They then, after that definition's been agreed, they quickly move on to designing a solution and then working with our operations and engineering colleagues to deliver it on the ground. And finance and analytics will provide support and KPIs and information to demonstrate to the client that the promises that we made back in the definition stage are actually being delivered and realized. And some of those promises might be reduced fuel, reduced carbon, or saving overall cost of the program. I know that recently I was involved in a scenario where the client was specifically suggesting that they needed 25 lighting towers and so much power to provide the solution, and the design team basically used BIM objects and AutoCAD to demonstrate that actually half the power was required and only 10 lighting towers rather than 25. And that initial design reconfiguration saved the client £3.5 million a year in their particular requirement. So the skills that we've developed and capabilities over the last 3 years that you've seen in the video that you've just heard me briefly talk about, for any temporary work situation, the phrase that we've evolved and developed is leave the how to us. We believe that in those scenarios in the future, if there is an emergency, if there is a disaster, if there is a large event occurring in your geographic area, we can play a role, our information and data can play a role in providing the solution. So that really just brings us up today into why I'm here. And then a few weeks ago, Ian and Glyn convinced me to make this short presentation, and we got discussing, okay, if we are looking to the future, how can a company like Sunbelt play a part in the development and the evolution of the digital twin? And what I'm going to do here, just building, and I've just taken this Telecent, their core. I suppose I see three inputs that we could play a part. Equipment data, and I'll just expand a little bit more on equipment data inputs in a moment or two. Something called Sunbelt City, which again I'll explain what that is and how I think it can play a part. And then obviously less of the data, but more of the human aspect, which is a dedicated 360 team that can play a part in defining and delivering this solution for the client. In terms of data, well, obviously we have a product data team, we have a customer data team. They're working as part of our digital transformation program to improve our own data. But if I just look at our equipment data, so we've got in the UK, we have £1 billion worth of assets within our rental fleet. 250,000 of them, or we refer to them as itemized assets, 2.8 million are non-itemized. So again, it's ensuring that we can provide data into the digital twin that can be accessed by whoever needs to have access to find this particular data. I'm just pointing out that 25,000 of those itemized assets have telematics devices and give off data about fuel use, idling, location, carbon. And we have a separate project, an IoT telematics project, which will bring all of that information and data back. And again, we would gladly share that with users of the National Digital Twin. The other thing, again, just looking to the future, more and more of our investment, and I think of clients' needs, is moving into greener products. So you can see here, over the last 3 years, we've probably invested 200 million in green assets. So these are battery, electric and solar, excavators, dumpers, battery storage units, large battery storage units, solar lighting towers. And we have a dedicated team developing hydrogen as an alternative source of energy as part of this migration to a green future. We can also provide data into the digital twin about our vehicles. We own just under 2,500 vehicles. And again, those vehicles aren't always in use. In emergency periods, if they were needed by a client or a customer to move goods or people around, again, you've got access to the attributes of all of the vehicles. The depots themselves provide overflow storage capability. So if you need a half an acre of space in order to temporarily locate resources, again, you can go in, you can look at the internal meeting room configuration or the outdoor storage space that we can provide. And then again, we have access to a number of rehire partners, rental fleet data that we can flow into the digital twin. One of the teams within Sunbelt is our reporting and analytics team. They use Microsoft Power BI. They have created a suite of internal reports, which are called Insight. Insight covers all aspects of our business. And this suite of reports is a fleet inquiry report. So again, I'm just trying to create a scenario in the future, an external customer coming in, looking at our data. In this case here, I've imagined that there's been some incident in Cardiff. The client or the customer, the chief of police, the fire brigade, is looking for some forklifts. You can see here on the top left, there's 839 forklifts in the fleet. Middle center, there's 204 available. The person obviously is trying to deal with a situation, having access to the National Digital Twin. He's in Cardiff. It can flag up to them, yes, there is forklifts available in the Cardiff depot. Paul Smith, the depot manager. Again, I'm just trying to create in your mind's eye ways in which the digital twin can have practical uses. You can do the same with the non-itemized fleet. I think there's a layer below that. So yes, we found what equipment that we want, but I may need to understand, but will this forklift or will this telehandler, will it actually lift 4.5 ton? Will it actually be able to deliver it 15 meters to some platform? Again, we, as part of our own digital transformation, we're upgrading all of the data that customers, clients can access about the equipment. That was one example on a telehandler. This is just another one. We do temporary structures. So again, this is just, I've found there's a temporary structure available in Bridgend. And again, you can either look at facts and figures and data, or even in some instances, models of typical layouts of temporary structures to understand, okay, yes, for my oil spill, I need a 20 meter by 10 meter temporary structure that can accommodate 50 people. I mean, just on stuff like this, 360 more recently have been working with overseas military agencies to design refugee villages in war-torn zones. It's been quite an incredible journey for them to get involved in putting stuff like that together. So that first part is Sunbelt saying we would be more than happy to contribute equipment and other data into the National Digital Twin and give access to clients and end users. The second thing is called Sunbelt City. So these drawings and diagrams being created by Glyn Matthews from Summit Rentals and Vin and the Pixel Mail team. And they were put together quite quickly to justify a cost investment in building out Sunbelt City, a 3D world. So they're version 1, and this is going to become much more sophisticated. And Sunbelt City will launch at the back end of 2023. So again, we would give access to the National Digital Twins users. So welcome to Sunbelt City. Surprise, surprise, it's actually a 3D city in its own right. So within this city, and again, I'll click onto the next slide because I think it's a better image. The idea is that the city is in blocks, and each blocks represents a different sector. Transmission, utilities, events, film and TV, oil and gas, rail, highways, but it also can represent different emergency scenarios. So for example, zone 12 might be a major fire in a city centre. Zone 13 could be a rail crash. Zone 14 might be a flood. 15, transmission cables are down because there's been high winds or high snowfall. The reason why you would want to create those zones is because you are scenario planning what is the eventuality, what do we need to do in each of those incidents. And by doing that scenario planning, and we did this with the EA on the bird flu outbreak. So okay, bird flu was really small in year 1, we met and we scenario planned. What happens if bird flu takes across the whole of the UK? What do we need to pull together? What equipment? What human resources? Where is it likely to take place? So we were able to make investment decisions and plan ahead for that scenario. And again, just listening this morning, my view was that most of the scenarios that are the use cases that are going to be used in the digital twin, there's probably no more than 10 that are likely to happen within the UK. And therefore, you can actually create 10 zones where you know exactly what the health, the police, the fire, the mayor, the MPs, the local authority are going to need to do and need to handle. And therefore, we can optimize the digital twin so that its functionality is fine-tuned to the most likely scenarios that are going to happen. Just going back to Sunbelt City, this zone down here, again, I've just, it's an emergency zone 1 or construction zone. The way that this works, it gives you, first of all, it gives you obviously a high-level drone view. Then we've moved down and we've got an individual zone view, or as you move into that individual zone view, this is the scenario that we've foreseen: the rail crash, the oil factory fire, or whatever. And we then place the BIM objects, so the most likely requirements for that scenario in this zone. If you are then, you're the person in charge of the disaster, the emergency, or you're just the project manager or the project director, if you're building a gigafactory, you're able to dive down. You can again look at various data inputs about the equipment that we've presented in that scenario. You can check whether or not the equipment or the people, because again, we were just saying that we'll have digital project managers and product experts within the zone or the sector. You'll be able to review that. Again, as part of our project plan, we will embed videos. So if, for example, in the zone that you're interested in, there's an energy output, generators and battery storage units. If you click on the chap who's in front of that, a video will play and he will just explain the benefits of this power configuration within Sunbelt City. All of the data will obviously be downloadable. This again is just another example of not just perhaps a single data point about a telehandler or a cabin or a laser scanning surveying machine. But this is perhaps a combination. So this is where we've got data about a green energy solution. So I don't know, but in this particular scenario in the future, the National Digital Twin is being used and the requirements are to come up with the greenest energy solution. The green energy solutions, as we all know, are continuing to evolve really rapidly. Well, what this one is doing is it's explaining that we've got a stage 5 generator, a battery storage unit, an energy management system, and we're using HVO fuel. And when you interrogate and click on it, it will actually then show you, for this configuration, this is the power output, and these are the fuel and the carbon savings that you can generate. The final view on Sunbelt City is where we've actually gone down the street view. So again, each of the zones will be created so that you'll either be able to go on a video tour or go on a tour on your own. One of the things that we found from experience on a lot of these temporary works emergency situations is people need to see a scenario of day and night. So what does it look like in the day, and also what does it look like in the night for a 24-hour operation? So again, you're able to model lighting requirements, safe footpath requirements, etc. The final bit really then, so they were the two data, either raw equipment data feeding into the digital twin or Sunbelt City in those scenarios, which I think are user-friendly. The other one obviously is then, if anybody needs help, we've got the 360 Solutions Uptime Center. It's something that we've recently just opened. We've found that because we're 25 different product categories within Sunbelt, we needed 360 to not only pull it together, but a 24/7 operation. So if in the future, when the digital twin's up and running, you're looking for help, you've found some a package of requirements, you may still want to speak to a real human being, and then obviously we can provide a team to support that either on the phone or What we're seeing is more and more customer interactions are moving to live chat. And again, within the Uptime Centre, we have a live chat team. Particularly younger people seem more keen to use live chat than the phone. So that was really just my last slide. We've been on a journey. It started with a dog walk. It involved the test and trace. We've evolved the 360 team. We've got our own digital transformation program underway. We're keen to develop all of our equipment connected to the internet. We're keen to support the desires and goals of the National Digital Twin in whichever way we can.
Thank you very much indeed.